What's up, guys? So today, my plan is to tear down that lie that has been spread over centuries, over years, and this lie is ongoing in churches, modern church. Um, it's a plan of the prosperity gospel, but even when sometimes there's churches that promote that lie, and it's not even like they are really like on the prosperity mindset. It's just the teaching that has been going on for so long, and they used to that mentality, and this lie has been deceiving a lot of people, has empty people's pocket, has giving people false hope, false dream, has set false expectation in the heart of people, even making people doubt God, sometimes create frustration, and people were accused of not having enough faith for it to happen. So you're gonna see when I'm gonna tackle this more precisely and specifically, you'll notice that you already heard that. And even if you're not in the church, you probably heard that, and you probably thought it was insane, and you probably heard many scandalous things about it. Now, I don't preach for my own desires, or I don't say what I feel like saying. I'm just saying, according to the Spirit of God, what the Word really shows us, what Jesus is really showing us from the Word. And I hope this will wake some mind, because when you bond in a certain mentality, and you nourish that, you become a slave of it, and it might just confuse you and lead you to a wrong thought process, that like it's like a spiral. You end up just not being free of it, because you've been hearing it so much, and you've been cherishing so much that false truth in your life. It becomes like an identity, and you spread that with no real evidence of what it has really done. And you will see what we are tackling today. So a lie that the church has brought, you wish that the church would have never come with, creating so much deception, is the one that if you're giving more, you're gonna be blessed. If you give $1,000, you're gonna be blessed. If the more you give to a ministry or to ministries, the more God's gonna fill up your pocket. Now, let me tell you, it's a straight lie. It has been a lie from the beginning to the end. Of course, there is this reality that Jesus said it himself. There's more happiness to give than to receive. That's true. And this is coming with a simple fact that helping other people is freeing the captivity of people. If people are going through situations and you're capable of helping, if your church is going through a circumstance, or there's things that needs to be done, you guys as a team, as one heart, as one mind, when you contribute together, you can make it better. You can reach more souls. You can do more things. You can contribute to the community. So there is a good idea of giving and putting together to see the work of God being accomplished. We're intendants of God. We handle the resources, and we must, as servants of God, honor this. We should use what God is giving us as resources in the right way, and we're gonna see an example of that. But the fact that you are giving every little penny that you have, and even when you don't have, you will go get some debt out of the bank to make sure that you're blessed. This is insanity. You need to stop this right now. Let me tell you, I can't tell you the last time I was in such doctrine. I can't tell you the last time I've been doing that kind of practice. And this has never stopped me from being blessed. I'm not there to show off my life or whatever. I'm just saying that I'm not liking nothing and people around me knows it. Right? So this mentality of if I give more, I get more, this is a lie. And it's a lie because you can't bargain with God. You can't try to manipulate God for your own needs or your own goal. If you have plans, if you have, I don't know, business projects, if you have ideas, whatever you have in mind or whatever you have in your heart to do, it doesn't require you to try to make deals with God for it to happen. You should know by reading scripture, you cannot move God with your intentions. You cannot move God with any form of manipulation. It just won't work because God is not a God that you can just lead astray with your carnal desires, right? So why is that a lie, and why this has been spread over time? Well, there's certain things I can't really go too much in details. It would be really complicated. It's case by case, but you should know that many ministries are dependent on the tithes, and they are dependent on how much you give. And especially why? Because most of the time, people are not looking to have a humble debut. They're looking to have more the shiny stuff. They want to have the big church. They want to have the big influence, all the lights popping, and give you a concert feeling and stuff like that. And these things, they cost money. Well, I'm not saying that having this is a sin. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is purposes of those leading the vision can be the reason why this system has been put in place. You got to know that not everyone that finishes theology school to become a pastor or whatever you did to become a minister of God is getting paid by a job or something. There's people that are leaving their job, they're leaving, and they have to provide for their families and stuff. And I'm not against people that, are living under the care of the church. What I'm saying is there's people because of that has developed a tendency to be fully, not only fully dependent of the church, but the vision that they want to bring, the idea that they observe from other ministries, from other places in the world, gets them thirsty to have the same level of recognition and the same level of applause that they will request from the members and they will request from the teams. The same level of exigence that it takes to have this kind of show and to have this kind of prosperity level. So sometimes the motivation that is done through this recommendation is more a way to make sure a revenue is coming in, and it's a way to make sure that the vision as set and as planned would follow its way. So there is ideas behind that. If you give more, you will be blessed more. And they will take passage of the scripture and tells you that this is the heart of God. And if you're not giving, you're stealing God. And they bring you back to the old covenant when in the first place, Jesus made sure that through the new covenant, you would be totally free. Now, tell me something, okay? If some principle, I'm not saying that the Old Testament is to be rejected. And I'm not saying that the laws were not good. But just like the Apostle Paul is bringing to our mind that we are not to put ourselves back in slavery and put ourselves back under the bond of the law, let me just think with you. Are you a Jewish? Were you born a Jewish? Did you have this? Were you part of this culture? The answer is no if you're total honest. If you're total honest to yourself. Why? Because back in the days, the culture and the laws and everything that they had was for them, was for the people to sustain, and you needed a kingdom to be strong. So there would be recommendation that God would request for the people to do. So in that way, the people of God would remain strong, they would remain wealthy, they would remain healthy, and they would be dominant in times where, of course, they were obedient, because times where they were just serving other gods and doing all kind of stupidities and foolishness before God that has caused them deep. But I'm saying in times of good season, to maintain your people, you need to put law in structures to make sure that your people would honor you, and they would be a people that can assume domination, right? You can do that when you have the right leverage to do so. So the people of God, they had a law, right? They had laws they were going by and stuff. But check well, when you're reading the new covenant, when you're reading from the time that Jesus comes and explained to the people what they never understood of the word, because those religious people, the same people, the Pharisees that were teaching the word, that were taking back the lessons of the law to put people under a bond and under slavery, a slave mindset of tradition and religion, were not using the word properly. They were not using the word according to really the idea and the heart of God behind it. So Jesus had to come and set the record straight, fix things up, and that's why he was seen such as a rebellious person with a rebellious agenda, because he came to explain what they never understood. And by doing this, he came and opened the door for nations to receive what they were never able to receive. So listen, first of all, what you need to understand, you're not a Jew, and the law was never made for you. This is what the Apostle Paul has been fighting with the other disciples before they all get to the mindset that, yes, it's true. You cannot condemn a pagan to live like a Jew when he was never affiliated to the customs of the Jews. Right? It makes no sense. You're asking someone to do something that even the Jews themselves could not handle and could not observe properly. So, going with this mentality, people have been adopted to the truth. That's why it says that the salvation has been coming for the Jewish first, and then the Greek. Who is the Greek? We are the Greek. So it's an expression just to say that the nations has inherited the truth of the gospel and the practice of it through salvation in Jesus Christ as adopted nations, right? So, because of that, the laws that were there are not the ones that you're living under. So the law, as the Apostle Paul explained, is a mirror for you, but it is not a bond for you to live on, right? You're free by grace. You're free by the grace of God. What Christ is requiring from you, it's faith. It is sacrificial love. It's to return the love that you have received. It's to walk in holiness through the Holy Spirit, of course, because you don't have the strength to do so, and live life as Jesus has taught it. So what we do understand by that is that, like, for example, if someone would be like, yo, he's lying, what he's saying is straight heresy. Oh yeah, so tell me, how come now, ladies, when you have the red rivers, okay, you know what I'm talking about, okay? When you do have your time, your period, right, and you are considered impure if we go under the law. So why are you out there? Why are you working? Why are you touching almost everything that is in the way? And why your family has contact with you? Why your husband is still sleeping in the same bed with you? And why your kids are in your arm? Because the Bible said so in the law that the ladies, when they had these period times, they were considered impure. This is what the law was saying. So they were not allowed to just walk around freely and touch everything freely. No, they had to stay in a certain place. They wouldn't touch anything. Go read for yourself. This is not something I come with. This is something that is true. Go read for yourself. There would be parameters in these cases. Circumcisions and all these things. Or you want to talk about the law. People that were caught in sin, adultery and everything, they were thrown rock over. Which means that these things were happening under the law. How come we're not doing them today? If that's not true, how come we're not doing that today? If we, as Paul said, if we are to take a part of the law, we should might as well take the whole law. But then if you take the whole law, you're saying that the sacrifice of Christ is in vain. Right? So this is what first thing that has to be built in the mentality is you have been set free from the bond, from the responsibility of the law that we couldn't keep, and God knew that we couldn't keep. And this is why he had to play a plan of redemption, knowing that we would never be perfect enough to follow the law as it is. We have the heart to obey God. We love his law. We love but listen, at first place, since you were not Jewish, it's even worse for you because you were never used to those customs. So that would never apply to you, according to what we see in Acts of Apostle and all the other letters where Paul is strongly recommending them to not listen to the Jews who has become Christian and are trying to force other people that are giving their lives to Christ to behave to the Christian, to the Jews' way of living and practices. And for this reason, the place of money. So when we're saying, oh, if you don't give, you're cursed and everything, we are putting people under the law. We're telling them that they are cursed if they're not giving. People are not stupid. If sometimes people don't give, it's because there's experiences, there's situations that happen that make them not give. You think people don't know the expenses of the church? You think people don't know that there is a place to pay, there is electricity, there is all these music things that are happening in the church, there's projectors and stuff. They cost money. But Jesus thought, and all the disciples with him thought, people to give with love. That's a different thing. Not only to give with love, to give with joy. So I should feel good of contributing in the church of God and not guilty doing it. Right? I should do it with what I have in my pocket freely and not do it with a credit card that is maxed out. Right? It makes no sense, and people need to wake up. Right? You're not under the law, right? You are under grace, but the law is a mirror to you, so you know what's good and what's wrong before God. This is what the Apostle Paul teaches. Now, for that has been said, the issue right there is manipulation happens in the church, in many churches, when they are saying you need to give to be blessed. Oh yeah, because you know what? The church will not stand with only one person paying for everything. The church will not stand with just having the staff that has the vision of the church paying for it. Oh yeah, you want the big show. You want the big lights. You want the big smoke. You want to have like an entertaining Sunday. I call that entertainment. You want to have an entertaining Sunday or an entertaining service. Or you want to be viral because your church seems to be the most fun place to be. You need money to do so. And this is where people get trapped. Because people are giving not for necessarily for the well of the community. I'm not saying that everyone that is following this is of bad heart. I'm saying that people are just being slave without knowing it. That's what I'm saying. Ignorance is killing the people of God. Right? Because once you know the truth, you're free from it. I've been out of this mentality for a long time. And I've been giving for the purposes of seeing the community right. I've been giving to see the development of the church being ready to receive more people. I've been with humble process of growing. Some things are needed, and it's transparency. You see, there's churches where you don't even know what happened with the finances. It's in the background. You don't need to know what's going on with finances, even though you paid for whatever, even though you give the money. You don't need to know. You're just giving the money. Mind your business now. We are handling it. We tell you that we're doing a good thing. We're growing the vision. We're giving you all kind of salad that you like to eat. And then after, you'll be just fine. You won't question anymore. There is some churches that even go and spy on finances of people. They spy on what you give and don't give. This is very wrong. Now, there's some churches that have used the passage where Jesus says, when Jesus was staying, he was staying there, and there was a little box for people to come and bring the money. And you remember that lady that had nothing and brought whatever she had, that was to sustain her life, right? And some others came with a lot of money, bragging, and they can put a lot of money inside. And you see, that's not act of worship, because they did it because they could do it. But they didn't do it because their heart was for God. The one that gave all that she had, she gave it for a purpose. She understood that this gospel is changing the life of people. She was ready to make the sacrifice knowing that it was for a good cause. There's a difference of heart. And Jesus will take her as an example, saying, you see these people, they came with a lot of their money, dropped it, and they feel good about it. They feel right about it. They feel like they're doing the will of God, but really, they're just boasting. Really, there's nothing coming there. God is not even receiving it. You think it's because you give to God that He's giving to you? Then you didn't understand. You didn't understand nothing of the gospel then. Because God is not giving to you because you give. God is giving to you because you have a heart of serving. It's the heart of serving. It's the passion and the relationship with Christ that changes what is happening. That God will provide for you because you are a servant. You can see that through Abraham. You can see that through Jacob. You can see that through Joseph. There's not much example where they are fulfilling the duty of giving to the church for entertainment, or even giving for a cause of entertainment. There's no examples like that. I challenge you on that. Right? They are following God, being good servant of God. They are asking God His will, and this is the way God blessed them, because God has put some skills in them. They use it. God has told them to go a certain way with faith. They did it, and they saw the fruits of it. Obedience has created some open doors, but not necessarily the obedience in your mentality of just giving, because it tells you to give. Or if you give $1,000, you'll be blessed. Yes, that's so true. Now, when you don't have the house that you're requesting, when you don't have the car that you're requesting, when you don't have the life, you're not traveling 2-3 times a year the way that you thought that it was going to happen, because this is what your heart cherished, because your heart is perverted and not at the right place. This is why then you become so angry at God. This is why you feel you're deceived. This is why you feel like you're confused, because you don't see the fruit of what was told to you. It feels like you've been lied your whole life because you thought you were doing something to honor God and you're not seeing it happen. Sometimes I would see, I'm not going to mention any church, any names, any this, any that. I don't want to create any beef or anything. That's not the point. I'm teaching. That's all I'm doing. I would see some people, they have $2, $5, and it's all that they have because they're students, because it's not going so well in their lives. Something is happening and it's fine. We all have moments where finances can take a hit because there's things that were not planned. These people sometimes were coming in the church giving what they had, and then they would stand with nothing for the whole week. And you know why? Because they were told by giving what they have, God would provide. God is not providing because you're giving money. He's providing because you're doing his work. That's what people don't understand. You don't get to play with God. He's not a genie in the lamp. Okay, he's not someone you can just bargain with and be like, hey, listen, I did that, you have to give me that now. Like, what are you doing? Some kind of investment with God? You invest in God so like he gives you more money? You think you're at the bank or something? God is not, you cannot control God, right? He blesses you because you're a servant, you're faithful. He knows that investing in you, when God invests in you, he knows there's fruits. He knows that you will share around with people. He knows that you will buy food for those who are in need. He knows that you will build projects that will help people go forward. He knows that you have a heart to bless the church in his humble debut. Or even if it's not the debut, even if it's you're farther in the vision of the church, they do it for a right reason. They're not doing it expecting something. They're doing it with a heart to serve. That's the difference. And this is what God blesses. That's why I always seen the blessings of God. Because there was never an idea of God has to give me back. Who am I to say that God has to give me back because I give? That makes no sense. And it's not the mentality to have. And you should make sure that you watch out of that kind of message because it's destructive. It's destructive. You're not under the law, as I was saying in the beginning. So you're not following the law. Sometimes when they're taking some passage in the old covenant, they're not telling you that this is a prescription of the law. And it was made for a certain purpose. I'm not saying that it's not holy. It is holy. For everything that God has made and everything that is mentioned in the Bible is holy and true. But it was not, you have to see context with time. And you need to not mix all things together and understand that everything was for a purpose. You get what I'm saying? So that means that because you're not under the law and you're under grace, you're giving with a free heart. You're giving with joy. You're giving because there's a need. And this need, you see, I was talking about transparency of churches. If a church today is not capable of showing you every expenses that is made and is not capable of showing you the reason why, according to the word, they're doing what they're doing, flee. I'm saying it, flee. It's dangerous. That means that there's a money machine behind that is taking your money, right? And there's no interest of your good. There's an interest for the church. That's why sometimes when people quit the church, they don't care about you. They don't call you. They don't try to reach you. Why? Because you were just feeding the money machine. You were not there with a congregation. You were not with people that loved you. You were not with people that really cared about you. That's the truth. That's the heart. That's the hard, destructive truth. Right? Now I'm going to show you, what I like to do. I like to expose what is wrong with us Christians but I like also to give the right direction to follow. Okay? Here's an example. There's many examples in the Bible. I'm not saying that the verse that I'm taking right now is the best, but I'm saying that we can see clearly in the Old Covenant the mindset behind God blessing someone. We're going to see a clear example there. And there is also good